This is kind of my take two video on this topic. There's a video by Amal Epinobi, Hamas, or Destiny Hassan. Sorry, Freudian slip. Destiny Hassan and lefties call for violence. For the record, those of you who don't know, I had done a video on kind of online discourse last weekend, but it sucked and it didn't do well. I think part of the reason why I didn't really like it is that I felt like I was maybe too ticked off when I was doing it. I like to try and remain aloof, but I kind of got a little bit emotionally involved. Should probably get off of Twitter. Watching all the lovely people uh, disclose their colorful views on various and sundry topics is not, I think, healthy all the time. Perception is a lot of times reaction, so at least in my case. In any case, we're going to watch this, and maybe to clarify or to reiterate my position on free speech beforehand, I tend to think speech is free, action is not. This is a really fundamental thing that I think most everyone would agree with, right? When speech is directly correlated to action, the speech itself is, as well, no longer free. But what you have in this scenario is what you would consider a type of loose correlation, right? Maybe not directly causal, but a type of perhaps loose correlation, which means some people are going to look at, oh, blankety blank is participating in this type of extremist rhetoric, and now a guy has died. Do you see the correlation here? Because the correlation is obvious to me, and you have other people who, generous interpretation, don't see the correlation. They're going to look at these the former people who are seeing the correlation and want to curtail this type of speech, and they're going to say, no, you're being authoritarian, you're being whatever. This is free speech. It should be protected as free speech. And that seems to be where we kind of are in this hyper divisive scenario where certain people are saying, oh, no, this has to be done away with. These people have to be deplatformed. So and so should get fired, et cetera, because, again, loose correlation. I think that's where we are now. Anyways, let's begin. One and a two, and away we go.
Many on the internet are calling for leftist streamers Hassan Piker and Destiny to be banned from their
Two peas in a pod. For the record, those of you who don't know the lore, this guy kind of got germinated into this guy's community. I think that's where he got his start in any case. And now he actually might be more popular. I don't know.
respective platforms for inciting violence. We're going to take a look at their crazy statements today, but we're also going to have a broader conversation about the difference between incitement of violence and hate speech, since somebody on the right seems to have gotten those two things mixed up.
He's talking about Pam Bondi. If you didn't know.
Guys, before we get into today's video, please like and subscribe. Today we're going to be looking at Destiny and Hassan Piker, two people who I don't like to look at very often. Let's be honest.
I literally enjoy nothing.
But I'm going to run you a clip that's going viral of Destiny and him speaking about conservatives and how conservatives should feel fear to espouse their views. Yeah.
Need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events so that they look to their leadership to turn down.
This was the thing, like back in the day, he was markedly level-headed. He's probably the most intelligent person on the left. I think he's still intelligent, but he seems to be kind of incontinent and embittered, and his inability to control himself does a good job, I think, of mitigating whatever intelligence he has left. And he's kind of shooting himself in the foot repeatedly, in my mind.
The temperature. The issue is right now, they don't feel like there's any fear. Like, I don't know. It's like memes. It's just memes to everybody, I guess. I don't know, bro.
Well, this is another thing that I think is maybe to some extent happening on both sides, but there's a lot of finger pointing and people saying, no, it's your problem to fix. No, it's your problem to fix. No, you started it. No, you started it. No, this is how it started. No, this is how. And I don't know if it's an entirely productive type of conversation.
I don't care. I'm playing video games.
We need conservatives to feel afraid when going to events and when going to espouse their views so that they can turn to their leadership to turn down the temperature. So you guys want to turn up the temperature, and by turn up the temperature, he's literally saying make them feel.
Yeah, need to use fire to put out the fire. Technically, that there is such a thing as backfiring, actually. So But in this case, I don't think it really applies.
Feel afraid for their lives. Okay. In order to get conservative leadership to tell conservatives to turn down the temperature, please make it make sense. And he's been brought on, I guess, Piers Morgan to talk about his beliefs and his stance on everything that's happening right now in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. He's been
Those of you who don't know Piers Morgan, I think Piers Morgan purposely brings like the most divisive and perhaps contrarian people on his shows. I think he leans into it a lot, like the sensationalism of it all. He likes spicy people on his episodes.
asked to condemn that action. He wasn't capable
Gets
of
views,
doing
the guy.
so. And he said instead that we should be looking to Donald Trump to ask him to turn down the temperature and tell everybody to chill out. So that's where he stands on the issue. Now, mind you, I have never and will never say anything this crazy, like this absolutely insane on this platform or any platform ever, because I'm not in the business of asking people to be violent. I'm not in the business of asking people
Good.
to make others scared and fearful for their own lives. So it's very strange to hear this said aloud, but not at all surprising for somebody like Destiny. I'll remind you all that this is the guy that cheered on the death of that firefighter, Corey Compertone, at the Butler County, Pennsylvania Trump rally when
He looks like it. Like, is this photoshopped or something? Because this literally looks like the body of a child with the head of a dude. I go, eh.
a shooter went and took the life of that firefighter. So this is not, again, surprising from somebody like Destiny. Now, there have been calls to get him banned on his main platform, which is YouTube. As I said before, he's already been banned on Twitch as of 2022. So I'm very curious if that's going to go through, if YouTube is going to stand on business and actually get rid of him for that, because it does seem to be a clear-cut case of actually calling for violence against conservatives. But now we're going to move on to Hassan Piker, because I guess birds of a feather flock together.
And again, there's the whole notion of like, to what extent is this type of rhetoric causal to what is happening in the world? Like, how to what extent does it correlate? And I don't know if there's a clear-cut answer. I don't know if there's really a lot of. I don't know.
Here's his clip.
Kill them. Kill those motherfuckers and murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods, dude.
She goes into this actually. I think the excuse for this is that it's hyperbole, but there's a problem with this in that the whole notion of hyperbole is like, and maybe comedy in general, to a greater degree, in a broader sense, is making the pattern and then breaking the pattern, right? So the whole notion is establish the equilibrium and then take it to an extreme, and everyone knows it's an extreme. Everyone knows like that would never happen. So yes, it's funny, it's a joke, right? But then you come back to the equilibrium, right? The problem is that with this guy, and I think also with Destiny to some extent in recent years, they take it to the extreme and they never bring it back down again. And the problem is, if you just take it to the extreme and keep making these jokes, keep participating in this type of rhetoric, it's not really a joke anymore. It's not funny and it's not hyperbole. You've just established a new equilibrium. And when extremism becomes the equilibrium, it feels like certain types of action can follow that, if that makes sense.
Okay, you're crazy. That's crazy. That's wild. Hearing it out loud.
I don't know what you're
is one
talking
thing.
about. That seems perfectly rational to me.
I read this first. I read this quote first. It was popped up on some sort of like infographic about things that Hassan Piker said, and I thought, oh, I just need to hear that said before I judge. Maybe I need to hear exactly how it comes out of his mouth.
And for the record, I think especially in this guy's scenario, perhaps in particular, you can look this up. He seems to genuinely espouse some very extreme views, if that makes sense. Like, he seems to like, in his case, especially in his case, perhaps, I don't know. I think it would be harder to discern between what is like genuinely hyperbole or genuinely a joke and was just, yeah, I believe this. I absolutely 10 toes down. That's his phrase. 10 toes down, believe this type of thing.
Kill them. Kill those motherfuckers and murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods, dude.
All right. Right.
Mm. To be fair, I don't know why I'm saying to be fair. I think there in some of these scenarios, he literally says in a video game. So it feels like there's a bit of a contrarian type of thing there. He says, let this thing happen in a video game. So he's disavowing the statement, which seems somehow a little bit off. Like he's caveating the statement.
Right. These people are crazy. This is crazy. Now, he's going to go on to say this is
Not wrong.
hyperbolic, which I fucking hope so. I hope that's hyperbolic. He was on a recent, I guess, like news interview where he's asked to talk about these statements, and of course, he attempts to defend these statements. I'm going to run that for you.
Well, you can watch the rest of it yourself. To close this out, and I'm going to hit a little bit of people on both sides of this thing. I had mentioned before, it feels like there's this type of finger pointing, no you, no you, no you, know you first type of culture that we're in right now. And I don't really like it. If you look, if you were the type of person who puts the burden of goodness, the burden of self-restraint, the burden of moral action upon your enemy, and then I'll reciprocate, like you are the bad guy. You are at least one of the bad guys, but you are the bad guy, like if not the bad guy. Um, you can't, like, if a thing is intrinsically moral to do, if it is a good thing to do, regardless of whether or not it's reciprocated, like if you put the onus of that moral behavior on your opponent, on your enemy, on whatever, and you say, "Oh, then I'll reciprocate." If you do it first, then I'll reciprocate. Like you've lost the right to morally grandstand about how good your cause is and how righteous and worthy it is. Right? What's the famous quote from Jesus Christ? Follow me, and I will make you no worse than your enemies. Like, no, take the initiative, do the intrinsically right thing, regardless of what other people are doing. That's maybe that's a little bit preachy, but that is kind of my take on it. That is the principled position in my mind. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you like the video, please press the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment.